All right, you ready to record? The whole project, the whole thing. It's just so messy. I know. That's kind of the point. Honestly, it makes me anxious. It makes me feel really uncomfortable. I think people are gonna get it. I don't know if this is gonna work. We don't even have to release it. Let's just record it. What if people think I'm crazy? They might. All right. All right, so for over a year, I have been intending to set up text message automation for my business. Simple notifications that go out to subscribers when there's new content, or to notify my OG members when we are about to do a live stream. But for one reason or another, I have been just unable to tackle this project. I have the skills, I have the tools, but I couldn't bring myself to prioritize it, to make the space for it. I don't know, but the last year and a half or so, let me be clear, like, this is a medium-sized project at best, maybe even a small one. But lately, small projects have felt like big ones, and inconveniences have felt like immovable roadblocks. So I was stuck. And the longer it stayed on my to-do list, the more frustrated with myself I became. But with some encouragement from Jade, I decided to outsource it. I decided to hire it out and pay someone else to get it off my list for me. Out of the blue, I got an email from Paul Sokol, who is a world-class small business automation expert, and he had actually just set up text notifications for his audience. And so Paul's a friend of mine. It seemed like a no-brainer. I reached out to him and asked for help. Actually, if I hadn't received that email, I don't know if I would have reached out to Paul. I don't think I would have reached out to anyone, but it happened that he messaged me about having just completed a project like this for his business. So I just replied, and I told him where I was at, what I was after, and asked if he was interested. And he said he's in. He would help. So that's it, right? We're all good. And fast forward, now the project's done. Not so fast. That was July 21st. That was weeks ago. Paul followed up to that conversation and sent me his scheduling link. Said, great, pick a time on my calendar and let's scope this out, make a plan, and get it in motion. And I got the email from him, but I kind of froze. I went into self-sabotage mode. I just couldn't click the scheduling link. I don't know why. But because Paul is an automation expert, his automation continued to follow up. And it kind of compounded the situation. I was full-on paralyzed. Finally, after, a number of emails and one voicemail, I just hit reply and wrote one sentence. I said, I'm sorry, man. I think I made a mistake and we should pump the brakes, or I'm not ready for this. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Before we go any further, I want to stop and acknowledge how I was feeling in that moment. Obviously, there is more to this story, but I think it's important to, uncomfortable, but important to just talk about. I felt anxious. I felt overwhelmed. And then I felt embarrassed and ashamed that I felt those things, which is a pretty vicious loop to be stuck in. But the reason I want to talk about it, the reason I want to press on it, is because I am coming to realize that this might be more common among entrepreneurs and small business owners than we realize. I'm coming to understand that, like, the mental health, the challenges that I've been struggling with are fairly prevalent, are more prevalent than we might acknowledge in our collective small business community. Around that time, in the weeks, I think, afterward, I saw a tweet from Chris Brogan, who I follow on Twitter, that said, like, people ask me why I share the bad stuff, or why I share when I'm having a bad day, why I talk about that. And he said that it's real, and it's important to be real, because entrepreneurship or small business is not a hockey stick. It's an EKG readout. And that really stuck with me, because it is an emotional roller coaster, and one that takes a toll. I can't say with any degree of confidence that I know how this is going to go, or where these feelings come from, and I won't pretend that I have figured it out, or give you advice on how to solve any of the complex variables in this equation. But I have decided to forge ahead, to move forward with this project, and I have a scoping call set with Paul for next week. So we will check in once that's done.